Genghis Khan was born in the year 1162 to the noble family of Yazugwe and Hoalan in Mongolia. He was first called Temujin, meaning iron worker. The Mongolians say that Temujin was born with a blood clot in his fist. Mongolians believe this was a sign that he was destined to become a great leader. Temujin's early life was difficult. His mother taught him to be very independent at a young age with the quote, "You have no companions but your shadow." This meant he was to trust no one but himself. His father delivered Temujin to the family of his future bride, Borte, at the age of 9 years old. He was to live there until he was 12 years old, and then would marry her. On the way home, his father ran into the Tatars, who had been enemies of the Mongols for a long time. He was poisoned and killed by the food they offered him. This was supposed to be a sign of respect. Temujin's father was a tribal chief, and upon his death, Temujin was left to inherit his position at the age of 13 years old. Marrying Borte would secure alliances with Temujin's tribe, Borin, and her tribe, Akhtan. Soon after Temujin and Borte married, Borte was kidnapped by the Merkits and was given away as a new wife. Temujin rescued her months later with the help of a friend. Shortly after, she gave birth to their son, named Jokai. Inheriting the position of a tribal chief allowed Temujin the authority to create laws. After rescuing his bride, Temujin passed a law that no one could kidnap or hurt women. Temujin also introduced other laws, such as children were legitimate no matter who the mother was. No woman would be sold into marriage. There would be no stealing of animals, and they must be returned to the owner. And taking lost property of someone was considered stealing, and it was a capital offense. Temujin could not read or write, so he made one of his followers document his laws and other important things that were said by him. A big part of Temujin's success was his alliance with his brother Togrul, who belonged to another tribe known as the Kirates. Temujin and Togrul met each other as children and swore loyalty to each other by performing a ritual which involved slitting their own palms and shaking hands. With Togrul's help, Temujin was able to rescue his bride, Borte. Eventually, ties between Temujin and Togrul deteriorated and resulted in a war between the two tribes, where Temujin was victorious. In the year 1190, Togrul invaded Temujin's camp, capturing many of Temujin's army members. Togrul cruelly dragged horses and boiled many members of Temujin's army alive, turning many followers against him. Genghis Khan treated his own army fairly, feeding, ranking, and paying them properly. This made his army loyal to him. In the year 1201, Togrul and Temujin attacked each other again. Despite receiving an arrow to the neck, Temujin defeated Togrul and his remaining warriors. By the year 1206, Temujin had conquered Mongolia and received the title Genghis Khan, which means Oceanic Ruler or Lord of the Earth. Within the next 5 years, the Mongols and Genghis Khan had taken over much of Siberia and modern Chinese Xinjiang. In the year 1214, Temujin's army conquered the Jurchens and their 50 million citizens. At this time, Genghis Khan's army totaled over 100,000 men. Tribes as far as Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan heard about Genghis Khan and overthrew their Buddhist rulers in order to join his growing empire. By the year 1219, Genghis Khan ruled from the northern China to the Afghan border and Siberia to the border of Tibet. Before the end of that year, Khan had captured every Khwarizm city, adding lands from Turkey to Russia. Genghis Khan would be known as the greatest conqueror of all time, having 4 times the land Alexander the Great had. Mongolians even believed he was sent from heaven and believed that he would come back one day to rise again. Genghis Khan died in the war against the Tanguts in the year 1227, and he was buried in an unknown location in Mongolia. After his death, Mongol was still successful. His successor would carry Mongolia even further. Mongolians believed they were chosen by the gods to rule the world. The Mongolian Empire would last until the death of Genghis Khan's son, Kublai Khan. Some would think that Genghis Khan's greatest accomplishments came from battle and triumphant wars on a grand scale, but it was much more than that. His success cannot and should not be counted in terms of land and territory gained, but in the past and even present outcome of his achievements, Mongolia. This nation's culture, writing, and speech technique, and even some present-day practices are all as a result of Genghis' leadership and morals. Mongols today still think of this man as the founding father of Mongolia.